He's turning 40 in less than 6 months, and I don't know if he was totally capable of imagining or being able to understand what my emotional experience might be unless I was to tell him. Like, for example, when we would walk his dog out of his apartment and go through the stairwell, he would open the door for himself and the dog. I'd be walking behind him and would let the door close in my face. Now, I did flag that for him. I said, hey, I really feel invisible when you do that. That's a really bad feeling. I don't like that. Could you please make sure you hold the door open for me in those moments? And he fixed it. But the number of crucial conversations that I would have to have with someone who I'd really only known for about 2.5 weeks, we moved way too quickly, felt disproportionate. It just was like, I don't know if I need this. I don't know if it's worth it for me to go through the effort to explain the nuances of how I could be simultaneously grateful and appreciative while also feeling disappointed. Like, I just don't know if he's the person who is going to be able to receive that. And do I want to even have to vocalize that after 2.5 weeks to someone who's supposed to be courting me? I think that so many women, especially young women, are just desperate for a guy to consistently plan dates with them, that you aren't developing the capability to evaluate the extent to which someone is able to also meet your emotional needs. And the older you get, the less patience you have for someone who, even if you like them and even if you care about them, because you know that the level of effort it would take to get this person to care about you, like, they might not ever be able to get there, and you might as well be alone. Unbeknownst to this guy, my base salary is higher than his.
You ever know this is a problem because men want to be the ones doing the breaking up? Men want to be the ones making you cry and making you lose sleep and making you not eat. They want to be the ones making you have a mental breakdown. They want to see you smashing their cars, breaking their property, doing up property damage so they can call the cops on you. And then they can say women are crazy without telling the whole story as to why she got there. This woman is clever, but it's not to say other women aren't clever. Men want you to be broken. They want to break you. They want you to break. And one way we don't allow them to do that or allow that to happen is by literally just moving on. You see a man's not compatible for you. Your instinct is to get away from him. Men will see that their wife is incompatible with them and they will still choose to be with her, not just because he's too lazy to file the divorce paperwork, but because he's getting something out of it. Women don't even want money from men who disgust them. They don't want money from men who disgust them, right, unless they're really desperate. But that's another conversation. Women know for a fact, okay, this man is handsome, but he's a terrible father. I can't continue this way. Not only would that be reflective of you as a mother and as a wife, it's going to be looking bad for everybody involved. People can't rely on him, and they'll be like, oh, that's the woman who's married to the man we can't rely on. You see your life flash before your eyes when you deal with certain men. You deal with all men you're with. That's why it works in the reverse. When I was mentioning the other day, when women idealize our relationships with men even before relationship starts, you meet a man and you're already thinking about, oh, we're gonna have 3 kids, or what if we had 3 kids, what if we get married on a Sunday, and blah blah blah. And it's like, you guys just met and you're already thinking that way. You're already thinking that far ahead in the future. And that's why men lie and say that women don't think far ahead. They don't think for the future. Men are always consumed with thoughts for the future and worried about how their family's going to eat. You abandon your families. How can you be thinking that way? The reason why men can just pick up and leave, no matter how much effort they've put into something and no matter how much has gone into something they were involved in, is because of the way society is set up and is the way they set themselves up. And that's why they want to come back into your life and their kid's life 50 years later talking about I'm your father. Yeah, you were supposed to be, but you chose not to be. We always look at things like this. We're always looking at things in this way. Women initiating more divorce, women wanting to break up, women always feeling less satisfied. Why though? We never like to talk about the why. We never like talking about what men are doing. We never like to talk about or ask men, why do you guys like doing it? I was having a thought the other day. Instead of asking women what they think they did wrong when they got assaulted by a man or they got R-worded by a man, ask men why they like to do it. Why do you like to R-word people? Why do you like to do that? Why do you like to assault and harass and objectify and sexualize people? Why do you like to do that? Ask them. Turn the question back on them. Why do you like to do that? Why do you make that choice to do that? Why do you think that's not an okay thing for you to do? Maybe when you start getting them to explain their reasoning, then you'll start actually understanding that we're not wrong here when we're talking about the way men like to self-sabotage and they like to sabotage relationships. They do it on purpose. And I was talking about in a video the other day, talking about how men like to neg people. They like to neg women. They'll blow up all opportunities because they need more experience. They need to be dating multiple women, not at once, but like in sequence. They will be dating multiple women at once and doing things with women at once, but they need experience. So they need to not just be with 10 women. They need to have had 50 women under their belt because they need bragging rights. If they a man who's already slept with 5 women, everyone's going to be like, he's not a player, he is not the big man. Other men are going to be like, I've slept with more women than that. He wants to be just like them. This woman in this video was talking about how she makes more money than this guy. She's talking about how he would walk with a dog and then he would the door would slam in her face. He wouldn't even be looking behind her to see if she was okay. Men like that will put you in danger. What we can learn from a video like that is to always hold your boundaries, always hold your standards, because there's literally nothing that can happen to you, nothing wrong that can happen to you, except the possibility, and that's a very slim possibility, that you will not meet a man to marry. Notice I said a man, not the right man or a good man, because a lot of us, we abandon our activism, we abandon our boundaries, all for the sake of being married and having a kid, simply because that's what society wants us to do, and we feel like our lives are incomplete if we don't do those things. She even knows that the man potentially could watch that video, but in a few years or in the next 10 years, she will remember that she held her boundaries and her standards, and literally nothing bad can happen from that. The people who are worse off in breakups, the people who are worse off in relationships ending are men, because you're talking about women initiate divorce and breakups more. So who's on the receiving end of those breakups and the divorce? Is it not men? So I'm assuming, because when they write articles like this, I'm assuming that it's a bad thing, right? They were leaving these men to be single and stewing in their singleness because they couldn't be asked to participate in a relationship they started. She notes that the guys are like older than her. He's like almost 40, he's like pushing 40, he's like 39 or something. That is way far enough, like a lot of time. That is enough time, more than enough time for a man to figure out himself and figure out what he wants. If you are with a man who is twice your age, 10 years older, he knows exactly what he's doing. The reason why men like to go for younger women, and she mentions that in the video, is because older women will ask. They will ask more of a man because they understand, okay, I'm 30 or to 30 to 40. This is the time where I need to actually have my crap together. And if you do as a woman and a man doesn't, that's not the right man for you. You shouldn't be waiting and helping build him. He should have already built things. He should be coming to you with the house already built. He should not be asking you, what do you bring to the table? He should have made a table for you. Women are already a ready-made table. They should be bringing things to you. In the animal kingdom, that's literally what happens all the time. Birds, they bring literal sticks to the female birds. They're like, look, I can provide for you. There are animals who literally like male animals that die after like conception and that. And then we're the only animals in the animal kingdom that allow men so much leverage, and not just leverage, we allow them so much praise and accolades in the reproductive system. So many times we look at men and we're just like, we're literally just supposed to procreate with you guys, the ones who believe that you deserve a push gift, even though you didn't push nothing. They look us in the eye all the time and they say men deserve compensation for this, that, and the third. We're all equal. We're not equal. I'm sorry. I'm not even going to lie to you. We're not equal. Men have made it this way. They've made it this way. This is your fault. You had the opportunity for equality. Now it's time for equity. You need to start paying women what they're due. You want more babies. You need to start respecting women. He did not even wait 48 hours. She was already done with him because of what he did. I can't remember the team, but he got her tickets to see, I think, a football game. And she was like, okay, this is like a new experience for us to experience together. Men don't like to understand this. They pretend as if they don't. If you got them something that they like and they'd enjoy in all facets, in all situations, right? That's a good gift. He's getting you an apron. He's getting you a pot and pan. He's getting you trash bag. Those are things you need, yeah. Are those things you want? No. Are those things you're going to enjoy? Not particularly. They know the difference. He turned to her and he was like, this is your Christmas present. The way she reacted is like, in what universe would I ask for this for myself? I thought this was just something that we would do together. This is like a man bringing you a meal to eat after you just give birth to the child and being like, this is your birthday present. I think a lot of these men, they just want to die. I think that's it. They're talking about offing themselves rape. No, they just want to die. They want you to be the one to do it. That's literally what they're doing. They're asking for it at this point. These are little things that build simmering rage. So I'm happy that she actually broke it off before this went deeper. 48 hours they were boyfriend and girlfriend, but they'd obviously been talking for weeks before that. And this just proves that men like to show things after a seal is on it. So after a relationship has been confirmed, after pregnancy and whatnot. But she did say there were signs before. They should be proving to us that they're not this way, but they're not doing that. So don't waste any time. They're just lying. When they show you who they are, believe that. Okay, we've had this conversation before on this page, but like I said, we need to be grateful for the sheer audacious but very, very loud bouts of admissions these men are just engaging in when nobody sent for them. Nobody called them. Nobody said, hey, come and share your opinion. Like I said in my video the other day, one thing a man is going to do is he's going to talk. He's going to share his opinion whether or not you ask. He's going to make sure you know he exists. So these men are having discussions, I guess not having discussions, just commenting under a post of a certain guy that I really don't want involved. Like, I don't want to talk about him on my page at all. You can probably put two and two together. Him and his brother look like sucked melons. But basically, somebody's asking who will marry the women that men have quote unquote this virgin, because the post was about the reason why men don't want to be in relationships with women anymore. Now, if you ask a man the reason, obviously you're going to get the same kind of answers. But if you ask women the reasons, you're going to get different answers, because there are more pick-me's and patriarchy princesses and male-centered women and women who want to be in relationships with men than there aren't women who want those things and are those things. You're going to get the same answer from men because they're on code. Women are not on code. That is just the reality of things. That's the way society has been built. Like, honestly, saying as a woman, we don't have each other's backs as much as men have each other's back. That really nice boyfriend you say you have, there will be a time where he will be put to the test. Quite a few men pass the test, and I should hope that's the reason why you're still with him. But the vast majority of men do not pass the test because their loyalty to men is far greater than their desire or supposed desire of wanting to be with a woman. So this guy says what all men think and say, or at least most of them parrot. Do they actually believe these things? That's a conversation for another day. But the thing is, they're emboldened enough to say these things. So I think it's only fair we associate this with the way they think. This guy says it's simply nature. Men will take advantage of loose women and women will take advantage of stupid men. So men are stupid for sleeping with women, and not only that, believing women. And women are loose for being convinced that a man actually respects their body. When women have sex with men, you're under the guise that he respects you, that he likes you. And even if you don't care whether he likes you or not, you're under the guise that, oh, you're entering this mutually. Sex is something that two people can enjoy. You're not going into it thinking he's going to be bragging to his friends afterwards. You're not going into it thinking he's going to talk about you like crap and say, I slept with this woman and she's a slut for sleeping with me. This is the reason why women don't want to sleep with men, because they know for a fact that these men, they rather have loose lips than just be like, okay, I had sex with someone, it was very good. They don't deserve it, which is basically the crux of this video. But let's talk about what they're saying in the comments. Lacana says yes, because women date this virgin women now. So that's pidgin and like broken English. And she's basically saying, yeah, women make women not virgins anymore. Basically saying that when women and men engage in sex with each other, whether whoever's a virgin or whatnot, they both had sex. So why is a woman only the one that has to be affected by anything? She's the only one that's being called a slut. Her life is the only one that's being changed. This is by design. They just want to say this to make us feel worse about ourselves. They don't care about our mental health. Women already feel bad enough about ourselves just existing, and they're just trying to pile on. This guy says because you wanted to lose it, so definitely a man must do it. Do you see the way they talk about women? Like, this is a Nigerian conversation, and unlike what I say to you about Nigerian men, I don't need to say it again. If you want to lose your mind, talk to a Nigerian man. I support people's endeavors. If you want to go crazy, talk to a Nigerian man. That's advice for you. Well, skipping down here, this guy Puppy says that's your own problem, not the man that wants to protect and provide for you. And then the woman Lacana comes back and says he should protect and provide for the first woman he had sex with. Now, this is asking men to basically give up all their limbs without anesthesia. To ask a man to pursue a relationship with a woman he sleeps with is asking him to not engage in patriarchy and masculinity. Men find their value in sleeping with, and not only that, manipulating and coercing women into sleeping with them and engaging with them. So other men can say that's the big dog. So other men can look at him and look up to him and be like, I want to be like you, yeah. That is their life's goal, to be looked at by other men with admiration. They want to act single, but they also want a relationship. You ask the male loneliness epidemic warriors what kind of boyfriend they would be or husband they would be to the women they supposedly want to love. They won't answer you, because what they don't want to do is love you. They don't actually want to love you. That's the part they don't want to admit, even though we know. And in conversations like this, you can see exactly how they feel. So this is partly what I wanted to talk about. This guy says women are the gatekeepers of sex and fertility. It's the woman's duty to make sure thieves, rascals, bums don't get inside. Men take advantage of loose women. The problem with what these men say about these things, when they say men gatekeep commitment and women gatekeep sex, that's an unfair dynamic anyway, but that's not really what I want to say. The problem with this is that it implies that not all women gatekeep sex then? If you're saying the existence of loose women completely negate the fact that women control sex. So if they're loose women, those are the women who are going to give sex no matter what, right? Because they're loose. So not all women have the choice then, if they're loose women. If women control and gatekeep sex and fertility, why isn't abortion rights completely in our hands? And why do we have to share that kind of responsibility, or share that kind of action and choice with men and people who don't even give birth and don't want to have kids? And that's largely men. When they say they want to have kids, right, they mean they want someone to take care of the offspring. When women don't want kids, what they're saying is they've had time to think about it and they don't want kids. And then people turn around and say, this is what your purpose is though. You're supposed to give birth. If women are in control of our own reproductive organs and choices, men wouldn't fight us so much on these actions and these decisions. Now, Locana comes back with a very good response, but the problem is, not only does the argument negate the existence of rape, it implies that men actually respect women as human beings and respect women's choices, that women are regarded as human beings, and therefore we get to completely and utterly decide who enters our body. Because what is the first thing people say to women when she gets assaulted and she talks about it? One of the first things they say is that she should have taken it as a compliment. They say, oh, well, what were you doing? What were you wearing? Were you drinking? Does that sound like you see that woman as somebody who is in control of her own body? They like to just parrot this to give us some kind of idea of their delusion. They're just talking the talk, because obviously this isn't the truth. Nelly says, women are the gatekeepers of sex because they have the power of choice to agree to whether or not they want it. Also, rape is far different from this post because a lot of women who haven't been raped will use it as a defense to sound right and avoid accountability. Does that make sense to you? If you have a brain, just please answer that, because that doesn't make any sense. He literally just went left, right. He went northwest, southeast, and he didn't even reach any destination. That's just a complete waffle. That is just chatting utter BS. I would say ignore that if that's not very worrying. We walk amongst people who think like this and talk like this. We walk amongst people who can vote. Similarly, their vote counts as much as ours do. You're telling me women don't get to be at least a little bit upset about that? Okay, everyone knows what they're doing. I digress. It goes without saying, but I will say that it's not your fault if SA has happened to you. And people will say women always have the choice. But when women want to make choices about our bodies, everyone's like, oh no, this will not benefit people. Oh no, this will crash the birth rate. The world will end if women don't do this thing that we completely and utterly denigrate them for, and we never appreciate them for or compensate them for, but we need them to do it. And then they'll tell us that giving birth isn't a strong thing to do. Women do it all the time. We don't care if you give birth. And then when you say you're not going to give birth because you're child free, they start convulsing and turning bright red, and they start swelling up like a tit, right? They start telling us that women ruined the world, and feminism ruined this, and womanism ruined that, and women's rights have gone too far, and blah, 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 blah. Things that don't affect you, right? You get to control us over. But things that affect us, we can't talk about it. We can't even say that we're not okay with the way you guys are carrying it out. Okay, cool, that's fine. He gave like 2 more paragraphs down here, but I'm not really going to read them, so you can pause and read them. But a lot of Nigerian men, I'll tell you this for free. These men basically say that women, because Nigeria, I'd say, is one of the rape capitals of the world against women. They're leading in femicide. Like the male football team in Nigeria suck ass. The female football team, winners, beauty queens. They should run Nigeria, but obviously because they're women, they can't even get accolades. Women will do so much in that country, and they do so much all over the world, and they're literally putting Nigeria on the map time after time. But one thing Nigerian men say all the time is that women, the reason why they die a lot in that country and they get assaulted and they get murdered is because they want iPhones. It's because they want a luxury lifestyle. Meanwhile, Nigerian men are one of the poorest demographics on the planet. Do you know why? It's because they don't have money. So if Nigerian men don't have money, where are the Nigerian women getting the money from? Could it be their jobs? You know, the jobs they go and get? You hear more about Nigerian women working and then turning around and giving their paychecks to their husbands, because that's what happens 90% of the time. And then he comes down here and says, oh, rape wasn't even mentioned in the post, so you can't even talk about it. Imagine not being able to talk about things that matter and happen to you. That is just like men. They get to decide what we talk about. So this is your PSA to tell a man to shut up today. If you haven't done it today, go and do it.
Ugly picture of yourself with your true colors right now. But you're actually a child. You were out here gaslighting, you were out here denying, and you're out here calling someone a gaslighter. What did I ever gaslight you? What did I gaslight you? And this is why I am leaving, because that's fine. Say that. Listen, you are painting a real ugly picture of yourself with your true colors right now. You don't deserve to experience my presence for someone that has been you, vulnerable with you, has invested time with you, spoken nothing but positive things about you, and you don't my phone. Jumping to dumb shit. What is me having, like, me? I have an obsession with JR.
Everyone's talking to everyone when they run into each other.
I mean, I think, like you said, everyone's talking to everyone. I don't really know anyone else that wakes up in the middle of the night at 1:30 and takes their phone with them to the bathroom, so.
What are you talking about? So you think, so because I wake up and first of all, why are you talking like what I'm doing, where I'm going? And second of all, I actually don't take my phone to the bathroom.
Super defensive.
Because you're over here just like speculations about what? So because I wake up and first of all, why are you talking like what I'm doing, where I'm going? And second of all, I actually don't take my phone to the bathroom.
Super defensive.
Because you're over here just like speculations about what?
You're escalating.
What is the intention behind that comment? You often say things and you don't own that to what?
I'm saying that you definitely. So.
If I talk to my
JR. Nobody cares about what JR doing except for people that are associated with JR. You're literally talking to yourself.
if I talk to myself, it'll make more sense than talking to you. Clearly.
Your sense of JR is crazy. You really couldn't come up with a better deflection than that. Like, you
It's
gotta
not
be
a deflection. Why do you
better.
care
Better argumentative
so
behavior.
to you? Clearly.
Your sense of JR is crazy. You really couldn't come up with a better deflection than that. Like, you gotta
It's
be
not
better.
a deflection. Why do you?
Better. Person that
Yes, you did.
All I did was
You
ask you
asked me if I've spoken to
You're
him.
not making any sense.
Should I get JR on the line?
That's unnecessary drama. Like, I feel like you're a little too old to be doing all that.
I'm too old.
Yeah.
And you are
32,
so
you should
immature.
low-key, like,
And
pick
you
up the
are
drama
so
jersey in the rap at this time.
immature, and you think you're so mature, but you're actually a child.
It's shown that it's possible in the context of this trial marriage, for sure.
Okay.
Slash.
Something that I would probably say, kind of opening my eyes to, I mean, a few things. I mean, obviously just being like more forward and vocal. I'm okay with independence, but I also want to do some things that are united. So like figuring out like what that middle ground is.
I feel that. There's a sense of unity in this trial marriage I don't think I expected.
It's new and it's exciting, and I can live in the moment and let that happen organically. Love you. Oh my god! I got even left handed. That's too tough. Or did you sign a prenup?
You want half of everything I own after 3 weeks?
No, you can keep all the leftovers in the fridge.
I so
I'm
appreciate
gonna
it.
take my great favorite though.
I feel like in the last 3 minutes you make me question marriage.
You can keep the blender that you got.
It seems like all you want to do is take.
What? We are in a baddie epidemic. It's not the women that are the baddies, it's the men's. They're the baddies. They want to be treated like the baddies. They want to be considered baddies. They want to be treated like delicate damsels. Even delicate damsels in history did not sit around waiting for men to come and save them. They had no choice. These men have a choice. They're making a choice, and the choice would be clear to the rest of us. They're not looking for partners, especially guys like this. This guy is ridiculous. All of these guys, they have no problem telling you exactly how they want to be treated. And meanwhile, you're not supposed to be talking about how you're supposed to be treated. They can call you all sorts of names, they can accuse you of all sorts of things, but you're not allowed to accuse them of the same thing or even remotely imply that they're doing that. When you say your love language is words of affirmation, they'll be like, mine is physical touch. You'll be meeting that physical touch. Will they be giving you words of affirmation? No, because they don't want to. They'll tell you that it's hard for them to express themselves. Things happen to them when they were kids and therefore they can't give you what you want. Conveniently, they have no facilities to give you what you want, but you must conjure every single part of yourself, even the parts that don't exist, the parts you have to force upon yourself to make sure their dreams happen, to make sure that they're getting their love language. There's already problems with the history of love languages anyway, but if people are still going to be using them and using that particular concept to build relationships around, then we're going to need to talk about it in the context of shows like this. Men like Scotty even admits, he feels rejected whenever anything doesn't go his way, when people don't do things for him, with him, by him, and when he says so. And then we're understanding Arya more and more each episode. Every time we see this guy interact with Zaina, he's the kind of guy that will be like, oh, you see, Malcolm's girlfriend, she always cooks for him. The moment he steps in front of the door, you only cook 3 times out of the week. He'll be comparing you to countless women, and then you'll be saying, hey, look, why don't you go and get one of those countless women, because obviously you're talking like you can get them. And then he will start mumbling, stumbling over his words, talking about, I love you, baby, I'm with you for a reason. Of course you are, because you think I'm one idiot. You can be talking to me a certain way. You can see all the insults he's been hurling at Zaina in the span of how many minutes? I was baffled when I was watching this episode. Well, not baffled that these words could come out of his mouth, but just baffled at the sequence of words that escaped his lip. From the way this guy dresses, from his head to his toe, you can tell he wants to be a baddie. I'm sorry, I don't like coming for people's looks, really, but there is a certain way some people act that the way they are inside will definitely show through. He looks like a villain. Like, he has that look, he has that glint in his eye. He looks malicious, he looks crafty. He looks like a sidekick, like a villain sidekick. You know, the one that, triggers things, sets little events off that, ultimately triggers something big. After guys' night, he was there trying to give Zayn a dead hug, talking about, I care about you and this, that and the third. The boy is shut the hell up. He's basically called her stupid, an idiot. He's called her dumb, called her a cheater and whatnot, said that she's sneaky, crafty, all of that, accusing her of going into the bathroom with her phone. Oh no. I distinctly remember Zaina saying that she even blocked JR like before the process even started, like the trial marriage started. I didn't hear Scotty saying that. We as women, we've dealt with guys like this, and you have to know 3 things about guys like Scotty. As you can see from this sequence of videos, the moment Zaina brings anything up to him, if he feels attacked, he's going to turn it back on the person who he feels is trying to attack. He's going to make sure the heat stays off him. He's going to make sure you don't get to confront him about what you wanted to confront him about in the first place. That is a feature of Darvo. This guy cares a lot about his look. Does he do it well? That's debatable. You can talk about that if you want to. The things that go with his brand, his image. Because I watched a video where people were suggesting that he wants to be a father, but he doesn't want to be married, but because his mum wants him to be married, he's just going to go and get married. I think it was Cecilia Regina, and that makes a good point. Does he seem like a mum's boy? Not particularly, but he seems like he holds his family in high regard, especially since his father passed away. Without Scotty mentioned that he always thinks about the fact that he didn't tell his father he loved him before he passed away, and that's completely valid. But what I think is, he thought initially Zaina would be good for his brand because she wanted to get married, or she's ready to get married. He's like, okay, this is already made wife for me if Arya doesn't pattern up. But then he didn't think that Zaina would have any thoughts. So obviously she's bad for his brand, because she's not going to be that quiet, submissive wife. She's always making room for his feeling. But as long as the conversation stays light or in the direction he wants it to stay, she's allowed to express her emotions as long as he's feeling as though she's not accusing him of something, or these are feelings he's going to have to deal with, or feelings he's going to have to give her emotional support for. You have to give him the most for his feeling, but when it comes to your feeling, you're supposed to deal with that crap on your own. The last thing you have to know about guys like this is that they're really, really sore and bad losers. They cannot lose. They always have to win. And I'm not even talking about games, even though that is the primary example I have when talking about Scotty. You can see Zaina, she's good at basketball, she's good at beer pong, she's good at a lot of things. She goes to the gym, she works out, she has a good lifestyle, she looks beautiful. She's giving Cardi B. In my other video I said she looks like Victoria Monet. She kind of looks like both of them at the same time, but I'm seeing more Cardi B now. He knows he does not look as good as her when we're talking about conventional beauty standard. And tying back to my point that these guys always have to look good, it's about their brand. Even though they look bad, or even though you don't find them attractive, they find themselves attractive. And these are the kind of people who tie their worth into how other people perceive them. And that's why he makes a point of talking about not wanting people to come for his character. You know, people who say that are one of the worst people you'll possibly ever meet. I think I'm going to start a new thing called Male Monologue Monday. I'm seeing so many of these monologues. You're probably seeing them, and it's quite funny. I want to giggle a little bit. I would giggle if it wasn't a little bit worrying. Not because I'm scared for our safety particularly, even though that is something we should be scared for. I'm just scared to see just how many people will come to the defense of men who think like this. I'm afraid to see how many people will support guys like this, because it's very easy for us to see groves of people swarming to comment sections to defend men who talk like this and defend men who think like this, because something bad is happening to them in society, which is them not getting to touch a woman or see a woman or have a woman there in his bed, have a woman cook and clean for him, have a woman have sex with him and praise him, and for him to show off to all the other men. Because to men, women are status symbols. There's something for them to hurt, to beat up, to abuse, to take out anger on, to get children out of. All of it blurs into the same thing eventually. So a mutual of mine, she stumbled upon men's rights subreddit, and I don't know how one stumbles upon it, but I just hope it never happens to me, because this is crazy. I find it hilarious when guys talk about things like this. Like, I find it hilarious when they talk in general. So let's read this. He says, unpopular opinion, the best course for men is to yield to feminism. They finally got it. He says, at least that is what I will do from now on. I have been tortured by feminism all my life. I am also a victim of male hate in workplace. I come to the realization that there's no point fighting against it. Oh, they have such bad grammar. You can tell, I've mentioned this before in a previous video. You can tell how far they are into red pill by how they talk about people, let alone women, and their bad grammar. They don't sound like human beings, they sound like robots, because they've relinquished all humanity. And the easiest way to do that is to hate women and to blame women for everything and what is going wrong in your life, or what you think is going wrong in your life. And that breeds entitlement. Continuing, he says, I come to the realization that there's no point fighting against it. We were just born in an abnormal world from the Bible's point of view. A woman should learn in quietness and full submission. I'm not reading that, sorry, I had to read that in church. I'm not reading that, sorry. Of course, Bible is rarely being treated seriously by the public now, but the Bible, Buddhism, Taoism, Star Wars, Dune all have one thing in common: don't fight against the flow. Okay, right, that was just a colossal waste of a minute of my life. They're absolutely positively ridiculous. In no way, shape or form is this yielding to feminism, because what men are pretending as if they didn't start it. We can do the childish thing as that you did it first, or he hit me first, blah, blah, blah. But it technically is that they did it first. Nobody asked them to treat women like subhuman. Nobody asked them to do that. The thing is, you treat human beings like subhuman. It only takes a while for them, and it's not a long while. It just takes a little while for them to realize that it's wrong. So my mutual, she posted another screenshot from the same subreddit. This man says, joining this subreddit was the best thing I ever did. I never felt so welcome, loved and cared about before as a straight white male. I just want to thank the subreddit for all the support during this times when I felt as a straight white male, because we didn't already know. Somebody nobody cares about. All these moments of false R-word accusations, radical feminism, misandry, white hating, heterophobia, and more. This isn't a real person. This subreddit was my shelter. Thank you to all. Oh my God. Not the Declaration. It's given George Washington. It's given Abraham Lincoln. It's given in these trying times. I'm sorry. Let me have a quick chuckle. Let me have a quick giggle. They are absolutely ridiculous. What a pitiful existence. And then they'll turn around and say that we're the ones causing this. This is so self-inflicted. I don't even know what to say anymore. We can sit here and laugh about it. We can sit here and worry about things instead. We can get angry. We can get frustrated. We can get even, this, that, and the... A lot of the time, it won't stop them from doing these things. Where we need to focus our attention on is realizing they're still saying these things. They're not learning their lesson. And we should stop trying to help them. Pour all the energy into yourself. Stop taking time out of your busy day, out of your important time, your precious time, which is fleeting, to educate them. They don't want to be educated. These are the same men that saying that women are outpacing them in school. They don't want to learn. You know the thing with people who don't want to learn? They stay in the exact same place they've always been, and they will blame other people for not picking them up and putting them on their level. You had the opportunity to evolve with everyone else and you chose not to. That's nobody's fault but yours. This person, Eli, says, it's important to be clear that the MRA movement is at its core about opposing women's rights. That's why they spend all their time whining about feminism rather than actually helping men, because that's not the prime objective. That is not imperative to their success in the patriarchy. Helping men is not imperative, but they'd rather help men. And if helping men will oppress women, they're gonna do it. If helping men if it directly harms women and hurts women's chances at a great life or a better quality of life, they're gonna do it. Then Amorous at the bottom says, that's ignorant. Are you saying men have no issue? No, clearly men have issues. The issues though have nothing to do with us. They'll say we're the problem. They'll say that their issues are rooted in women not giving them what they want and women not participating in humanity and the furthering of human existence by giving birth to random men's babies. Who are we competing with? The aliens? I have no idea. These are men who don't want to stick around to see the baby even be born, let alone raise it. And you're telling me that men want babies to be born? Of course you do, because you want to be known as a father in name. You don't want to be a father who's actually present. And then this is why I wanted to start a male monologue Monday, and that's actually going to be on a Monday. This is exactly the kind of crap we're going to be seeing every Monday, because I could read all of this, but do I really want to read all of this? I haven't actually read this, but I know it's a crock of BS. They're very mean people. Like, the very first thing this guy says is a slur. In summary, it's the age-old story of saying that women are stupid and dumb and inferior and less intelligent than men, and that we are a danger to ourselves, and that's the reason why men had to rescind our rights and take it away, obviously, and then put themselves in charge, because we were a danger to ourselves and we were destroying society. And the worst possible thing they've done for society was giving us back our rights to vote, giving us back our right, allowing children to grow into adults before they even think about being in a romantic relationship. Their mistake was letting girls grow into women who can decide whether or not they want to have kids. They're talking about men getting sex as if that is a prize for doing some kind of service or labor. And then when they don't get it, everyone has to die. They call it hatred because they feel as though women's bodies are something that's owed to men. And we have to remember that most men, if not all of them, think they're good men. So if sex, especially sex from women, is the reward for good men and they're not getting it, basically they think we're calling them bad men. Normal people know that you're going to have to like someone before you even remotely think about having sex with them. But men like this, they're too far gone. They need to continue to be left behind. No sex. The trend with guys like this is always calling women ungrateful. Ungrateful for what, mind you? That implies they did something for us. They'll say they invented phones, they invented the clouds, they invented each blade of grass, they invented everything from morning to night, they invented everything, they build houses, roads, cars, blah, blah, blah. Take it all away then. They invented this, that, and the third, and that's why we should give them sex for free. That's why we should just be having babies, even though we could die. We should let them just get away with everything, because these men will wake up one day and be like, I know I have 4 kids and a wife of 20 years, but now I want to be an astronaut, so I'm going to run away with all our savings because I'm a man and I want to be an astronaut. And everyone will be like, yeah, you can't expect a man to stay where he doesn't want to stay. They know that their issues will be fixed by our issues being fixed, and that's even if we want to concede and say they have any issues, which they really basically actually don't. Their issues are self-made. Like we say, if they wanted to get rid of the patriarchy, they would. But the thing with them is they want all the prizes, they want all the benefits by doing none of the work though. We're doing all the work by saying patriarchy hurts them too. Clearly it's not hurting them enough. They can't accuse us of being mean and heartless. Meanwhile, they're calling us all sorts of names, and they're not leaving room for you to be upset at the injustices we face every single day. They've not even tasted injustice. They're so lucky. Okay, this video is brought to you by the demographic that created CUM Dunsters. I'm not the first woman to say it, but men do see sex as a power trip. Not all of them, obviously. But at this point, it's too dangerous for us to pretend as if most of them wouldn't defend men who speak like this. Now, I'll translate this paragraph for you, this original tweet, because it's in Pidgin English, which is Nigerian slang. Basically, he says, sex always amazes me. Like, am I really this powerful? Look at this inferior creature trembling before my mind. Okay, so keep telling yourself and keep telling other women that men just need an opportunity. They just need a chance. If we're just patient with them, they'll start seeing us as human beings. Keep telling yourself that men see women as people and that they want to, and it's just because they've had a few bad experiences with women that they think about us in this way. In this comment section, all you're going to see is pick-me's kikiing, men laughing it up, dapping each other up. They love it. The pick-me's love it. The patriarchy princesses, they absolutely adore it. Will they get picked at the end of the day? Stay tuned. Did this man pick her? He didn't pick her. She's finding it funny. Does he even really appreciate it? No, he's just treating it as a win. She calls him an idiot, but in a joking way. Moo means idiot. This is the power, or quote-unquote power, that the in smells. They feel that other men who get the opportunity to have sex with a woman is getting some kind of power that they're being left out of. That's why they turn their anger on women, because it's easier for men, on average, to beat women up. Not because they're stronger, or not just because they're stronger physically or biologically. It's simply because women aren't trained to use their body. Women aren't trained to use their bodies to fight against men, because if you see women fighting against men who are trying to attack them, you'd be wondering as if, where did she get that strength from? When you are put in fight or flight, if you choose fight, if your body chooses fight, you will be able to fight that danger. So this man says, turn her mouth into a piss dumpster. And you're telling us that these men have not been having their brains addled and riddled with corn, that they see women as human beings, and that something happened to make them be this way. In my previous videos this past week, I have said that men have too much access to women. They have had the responsibility to turn the world into something good, and this is what they've done with the opportunity. So why are we still leaving them in charge? Why do we still care so much about what they want to do? They've been showing us and they've been telling us what they want to do. What are we taking away from these kind of posts? I need people to know, because a lot of people don't actually know that this is actually happening on the internet. A lot of people don't actually know that a lot of men, the vast majority of men, not just Nigerian men, even though when you look at Nigerian Twitter and you see Nigerian women interacting with Nigerian men, you are going to leave that place feeling baffled. You're going to feel leave that place feeling dirty and absolutely bad about yourself, and bad for Nigerian women, and you should feel bad for most of us. I'm just glad that my parents had the sense to not live there and that we live in England. England is not the best place, but I'd rather live here than have my life risked every time I walk out the door in Nigeria. I'm good. People are always laughing about this. This is not a laughing matter. This is not a joking matter. This is where it starts. And these are the same men who, when women see their posts, which is why I advise you, if you are talking to a guy, look at his social media, find out everything about him, do a background check. You will be pleasantly surprised at what you find. Sometimes you won't find anything, but at least you've covered your back, you've covered your track. But this is where it starts. Men giggling up a storm, calling women inferior, and talking about sex as if it's something that's taken from women rather than have like participated with women. Like, you have sex with women. You do not get women. You do not take sex from women. But that is the way they like to see it. That's the way they like to do it. That's what they want. They want to have been able to cajole and coerce sex out of you. They say, okay, I'm going to pretend to be the guy you want, and then when I backstab you, I will be able to laugh at you with other men because you trusted me. Men are telling you in no shortage of ways that you should not trust them. At least you should not trust the vast majority of them, because you don't know how many men in these comments are laughing. I looked through the entire comment section. All of them are laughing. There's no man who stood there and told him, not, this is wrong, and referring to women as inferior beings is bad. None of them did. And there was like 100 comments in there. That is, if you have 100 men standing in front of you, that will look like a lot of people, because it is. And the original tweet has 2k likes, so that is about 2,000 men who have liked that, or 2,000 men and patriarchy princesses. That's a dangerous amount of people, especially if you're alone in a room with them. And see this man here, he hopes that it gets to the right people. He means feminists. He hopes that Nigerian feminists, or feminists in general, get this post on their feed. Because the reason why this post was on my feed, it wasn't really on my feed, a man I was following that did not even know. See, this is the thing, I shouldn't allow men to follow me on Twitter at all. I shouldn't follow men on Twitter at all, because this is the kind of crap that's going to arrive on my timeline. If I did not follow that man, if that man wasn't following me, I would never have seen this post. And look at this. This is hilarious. This woman is comparing his nut sacks and his phallus to 3 acorns here. We can joke about these things. It's completely within our rights, because we're being called inferior beings. And these are the inferior beings that are surpassing boys and men in school, and they keep complaining about it. I did see a post from a man a couple of months ago that women were reacting to. He was saying, you know how people like to use like flowery language to suggest that women stay at home to make men and boys feel better about themselves. And I have a post that I'm probably going to do later talking about how teenagers aren't having sex. It's not about teenagers having sex, it's about boys having sex. You don't care that teenagers are. You care that boys aren't. And this is the truth here. If you choose to have sex with men, just make sure you are getting an orgasm out of it. Make sure you are getting the absolute top pleasure from it. Because if you choose to do this without knowing that much about that guy, it's probably a little bit of self-harm. Because these are the ways men see you. I don't believe in all that energy transfer and all of that when it comes to sex. It's literally having sex. But I know about energy. A man's energy is very palpable, but it's also a succubus kind of energy. They know exactly what they're doing, and they know exactly what energy they're putting into you. If you're a woman and you've had sex with a man and you felt bad afterwards or a few days afterward, not the shame or guilt, but you felt gross or you felt there was something wrong with your spirit, that's because you slept with a bad guy. Because guys make you ill. Guys who do not wash, they make you ill. Guys who cheat, they make you ill. Guys who are horrible people, their energy can shift onto you because they're taking energy away from you. They're making you put in all the work. They're making you feel bad. There's a reason why men are good at love bombing and women accept it. It's because they're not used to be bombarded with such tiring bouts of emotions at once. You're not used to that much energy at once, and that's why dealing with men is such a tiring thing. Like, these are just a few of the comments here. I need to translate this for you guys. Where this guy says new taker, this is how they refer to women now. Refer to women as takers. Put 2 and 2 together, what does that mean during the context of sex? I mean, take penis, essentially, during sex. And then the guy said, I'm not having sex. The OP said, I'm not having sex. What a surprise. Why would you want to have sex with a man who thinks like this? Because what I've said about men aren't quiet. Men love to brag about how awful they are. It always comes out. And then the other guy comes back and he says, there's so many women that will allow you to sleep with them. And then OP said, man should not, or God should not eat by bread alone, which means basically I can live without sex. You're not having sex, and that's the problem. Men are not having sex and they're very upset. And men can't see sex in a normal way. They don't see it in a normal way. They have the possibility to do it, they just choose not to. Just read this. You feel like you're a mad scientist when you're having sex with a woman. Their need to make women feel weird about choosing to have sex with them is something they refuse to fight. The urge shouldn't even be there, but they love the idea of women feeling bad and feeling dirty and feeling discombobulated about having sex with them. And then women are like, I'm not having sex with men because it makes me feel weird and bad about myself. And the men would be like, oh, we're suffering now and now we're going to hurt you because you're not having sex with us. We don't care. We're not scared anymore because I'd rather not have sex. This is your reminder. If you don't want to have sex, don't do it. If you've never had sex, don't start. If you want to have sex again, don't do it. If you were feeling weird about it, don't do it. Because honestly, it's better for you to protect your energy. It's better for you to protect yourself. It's better for you to keep yourself healthy than have sex with men. Because honestly, they're not looking to give you orgasms. Not all of them are anyway. They're not looking for you to have a good time. And the moment you leave them, if you end up dating them, they're going to use it against you. They're going to be telling other guys, oh, we had sex. Oh yeah, she was trembling. Oh yeah, she went down on me. There was a post I talked about before where a guy was saying, I feel such power when a woman goes down on me. I'm looking down at her and she's looking up at me like I'm a king. This is how they get their validation. So if this is how they get their validation and they won't change it up, take their validation away from them. Simple. These are the men that when they don't get what they want, they go around and kill innocent people. And then society will be turning around and say, oh, it's because they don't have any companionship. Do they want a dog? No, they don't want a dog. They want your vagina. So if you were feeling bad before, don't. Because this is how they're speaking about her. They can never act normal. And that's why they're not having sex.